Welcome to Season 5 of the Agile Brand with Greg Kihlstrom, where we talk with enterprise and technology platform leaders about the people, processes, and platforms that make marketing and customer experience successful, scalable, and sustainable. This is what creates an Agile brand. I'm your host, Greg Kihlstrom, advisor and consultant for Fortune 1000 marketing and CX leaders and teams as principal and chief strategist at GK5A, and best-selling author, keynote speaker, entrepreneur, and Agile certified coach. The Agile Brand podcast is brought to you by TEKsystems, an industry leader in full-stack technology services, talent services, and real-world application. For more information, go to teksystems.com. To sign up for the Agile Brand newsletter and get the latest insights and articles on marketing technology and CX, or to purchase a copy of my latest book, House of the Customer, go to gregkihlstrom.com. You can also find all my books on Amazon and other retailers. And now on to the show. Today we're going to talk about the role of print media in a digital world and why it's important to not overlook valuable channels that your customers value. To help me discuss this topic, I'd like to welcome Curtis Tingle, CMO at Vericast. Curtis, welcome to the show.
Greg, it's great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Looking forward to talking about this topic with you. Why don't we get started with you giving a little background on yourself as well as what you're currently doing at Vericast?
Sure, absolutely. So I'll start actually, if you don't mind, just with what is Vericast, because your listeners may be curious.
Yeah.
We are a marketing solutions and tech company. We're proud to serve over 15,000 customers in many different industries: financial institutions, grocery, CPG, retail, restaurants, telecom, kind of across the board. As you said, I am CMO here at Vericast. I also play a dual role as head of our print media product. I think that sets up nicely for the conversation we're about to have. And I'm excited to be here. I've been with Vericast for 27 years. I started as an intern 27 years ago, and we've been through lots of twists and turns and evolutions in the print world. But one thing has held really true, and it's really our secret sauce of helping businesses connect to people and influencing shoppers and how they plan to shop by uniting data, making it smarter, and making it easier to use for marketers.
Great. Wonderful. So let's start by talking about the role of print media in a world where it seems like digital media and channels are getting all the attention. So I think some might be surprised at just how well some print media perform. I know whenever I see stats about direct mail, I'm often stunned, and that continues to be the case, that they're performing. And I look at all this stuff quite often in my work. So is print growing or diminishing in importance as the world seems to get more digital?
Yeah, I think that's a great question, a great place to start. First and foremost, I think it's important just to call out that the headlines around print are deceiving. While print ad spend is really in secular decline, most of the estimates ignore the number 2 media channel for all marketers, which is direct mail. And it's ignoring it because it's difficult to measure, but it's really important for marketers to understand that direct mail is at the heart of how print is transforming. It's largely driven by the fact that consumers look to their mailbox to find deals and to find places that they want to shop. In fact, in our recent awareness to action study, just from this last April, 61% of millennial shoppers told us that they're most likely to remember a brand when they see it in a print ad. That means print is driving performance because consumers are engaging.
Yeah. So I work a lot in the digital marketing space and MarTech space, and so I've worked with a lot of some really cool personalization tools and talk about this stuff a lot. How does personalization work in a print medium, and how have you seen it used effectively?
Sure. Print offers an opportunity to leverage what I would call the full spectrum of personalization, from very precise one-to-one messaging to more broader audience-targeted messaging. So we work with a communications company, and they're interested in getting their home internet subscribers to purchase mobile from them. Print allows you to personalize those offers, so you're giving acquisition offers to shoppers you don't even have, or you're giving upsell offers to somebody that you're trying to get to convert and not only buy internet from you, but buy internet and mobile and maybe cable TV even services. And at the same time, it can go more broad. So you can get very specific in one-to-one personalization at a household level or at a consumer level, or more broad to relevant audiences. One of the things that we learned from consumers in a recent survey was that 94% of consumers are saying it's really important for marketers to respect their data privacy. And this is making personalization a little more challenging because of all of the driving changes we're seeing, consumer desire to protect their data, the regulatory changes we're seeing in the industry, technological changes and industry shifts are really making personalization more challenging. And what we're finding is brands are hungry to find partners that have the right MarTech stack that lets them deliver personalized ads and still protects their customers' privacy. At Vericast, that's where we've put our focus, is we're really building contextual advertising technology that allows us to responsibly source data, use it in a privacy-forward manner that allows you to target not just digital, but also print. Could be one-to-one, could be the right audiences. And the way we've enabled that and the way many companies are enabling that is not just thinking about which households you want to go to, but taking it up a level to a neighborhood level. So we've built our platform so that you can target at a sub-zip code zone, if you will, really hammering in and finding those audiences around your store locations or audiences that are relevant to your brand.
So, as you mentioned, personalization requires good data, really good data to work well. And, that's certainly a foundation in the digital side. It sounds like it's also certainly a foundation in the print side. What about, you touched on at the very beginning, just some of the challenges that with measurement as, and print and direct mail and things like that. Data analytics, these are generally thought to be the realm of digital, but as you're saying, this definitely comes into play in print. How do you use analytics and data to deliver smarter results for print media?
Sure. Yeah, I would say data and measurement are definitely the realm of marketing, right? They're the demand of marketing these days. And there are multiple ways to measure print. So I think what we find to be most successful for print measurement is to focus on outcomes. Marketers often get mesmerized by the amount and diversity of data that's available to them in reading digital engagement. And there are definitely advantages when it comes to understanding behavioral insights and view that you get of how a consumer is engaging with your brand, and engaging with your store, engaging with your marketing. But the fact is, we know consumers are using print, and that utilization leads to clear signals that you can measure. We found in our January activation, our awareness action study, that 82% of consumers are using direct mail flyers or circulars to plan their shopping. And that leads to the ability to then say, okay, well, what's the impact? What's the impact of that print? So we actually do about 1,000 measurement campaigns each year for our clients. We help 30% of our customers measure how is print working for their business. And it tends to look like measuring response or sales lift or foot traffic with partners like Cubic or Placer AI. We even do matchback studies. So we look to understand who is responding, really getting into that audience insight that leads to better marketing in the future.
Yeah. So we've talked about some of the opportunities and maybe misconceptions about print media. There's certainly some challenges, as with any medium. Certainly some challenges in addition to the opportunities. A lot of companies look at cutting print media as a path to sustainability, for instance. How can brands take sustainability into account while still effectively using this important medium, as you said, but while still effectively utilizing print?
Sure. Sustainability is definitely top of mind for all marketers. It's top of mind for consumers. The first thing that I would do is, and I want to state, is that the print industry has to stand up and take responsibility to deploy sustainable practices in how we source, how we produce, and how we distribute print. We at Vericast are doing just that. So we source 100% of our paper from responsible, sustainable forestry companies. We're committed to recycling. There is inherently some waste in the print production process, but we've recycled over 70 million pounds annually. So we're being responsible about how we're disposing of what doesn't get used in the production process. And we are committed to ensuring that that distribution is sustainable. So we're committed to delivering 100% carbon neutral shipping by 2040. I think beyond partner and vendor selection, marketers really need to use print wisely. It goes back to what we just talked about, making sure that they're going to the right audiences and that they're maximizing the impact of their campaigns. Fortunately, and it sounds a little bit like a pun, but print makes a lasting, sustainable impact on consumers. According to our June study, 80% of consumers that use print do so because it makes their shopping easier, compared to only 70% saying digital makes their shopping easier. And the biggest driver that we see as a differentiator there is it's about trust. 75% of consumers trust the ads that they see in print. That leads them to leave them around the house. So consumers tell us they keep the ads they get in the mail for an average of 11 days. That's more time to interact with the ad, more time to make a lasting impression, more time to drive a business outcome.
Before we continue, let's take a quick break. If you're like many marketing leaders today, you're inundated with a need to improve the customer experience across an increasing number of channels and touch points, all while ensuring your team is performing well, innovating, and continuously improving. So how do you find the time to determine what's next for you, your team, your brand, and your customers? My company, GK5A, can help. Whether it is advisory services, evaluation of marketing technology platforms and solutions, or digital agencies and implementation partners, or assistance with creating strategic roadmaps and prioritization of efforts, we've done it all and served as an ally to Fortune 1000 brands in industries like financial services, healthcare, consumer electronics, professional services, and more. You can learn more about these services and contact us at www.gk5a. That's www.gk5a.com. Now let's get back to the show. And so we talked a little bit about data and analytics already, but certainly collecting information, it's not quite the same in print format, I would imagine. So, how do brands get around this data collection and just getting good data?
Yeah, I think the first step is to lean into those outcomes. So thousands of our clients across FI and grocery and restaurant and retail rely on a trusted and proven distribution network that we do that helps them get in home, helps them influence that planning of that shopping. The second key is look to those outcomes. Print definitely is more challenging if you're looking to measure pure engagement, but you can see the material sales lift and response that you get from print. For example, in the restaurant category, we see an average return on investment of 9x to 13x. Not 9 to 13%, but literally 9 times to 13 times return on investment, because they're seeing such tremendous response, just like you talked about from print. Yeah. And I think that's really about ensuring that you've got partners that can help you get the right data to set up those audiences and then measure that impact on the back end so that everybody is held accountable in the marketing campaign.
Yeah. So we've been talking about this quite a bit from the brand and from the marketer's perspective. Let's also talk about customers and customer preference. Obviously, if there's a 9 times plus lift, customers must be interested in this and reacting to it. So, there've been a few examples of companies that have cut out print advertising for various reasons, and some have come back. I remember seeing a story about a regional supermarket recently that they cut their print circulars and then quickly changed their minds based on some outcry from their customers. So, what do customers want here? Certainly, digital can be convenient for those that are always on their screens and things like that, but it's not always the most convenient or even the best fit. So how should brands look at understanding where to focus their print media in terms of customer preference?
Yeah, that is a really important point. That it largely depends on the category, and certainly what you're trying to achieve. So, to your point about that regional grocery chain, I'm excited to announce they've come back. They had to reverse that decision they made to leave print, but there are some drivers as to why. 7 in 10 consumers tell us that they use print circulars to plan their grocery shopping. And that one grocer in particular, the first market that they went dark in, they saw a 14% decline in foot traffic.
Wow.
While their competitors grew. So the challenge was that the business changed because consumers, when they're shopping, especially for groceries, they don't necessarily want to go to an app or a website to plan, are they going to shop at a grocery store for certain items, a drugstore for other items, a mass merchandising store for other items, right? They're looking at dozens, if not hundreds of offers every single week and planning out what they're going to buy. That's just an easier experience for them in print. And I think the driver there, and something that marketers often overlook, is the issue that we're still facing, right? Inflation, while it's easing, is still having a pretty tremendous impact on consumers' pocketbooks. And consumers are hungry for deals. And the number one place they look to find those deals is truly the mailbox. Absolutely, consumers are shopping online. They're using digital coupons. They're searching for deals. But the most trusted space is the mailbox. And in fact, as recent as June, the number one channel for consumers looking for coupons was in the mailbox via printed ads and postcards. 48% of consumers cited that as their top destination. And I think it all comes back to what I said earlier. It's about trust. It's about knowing that it's a deal. The deal is going to work, that it's relevant to them, making sure that it's going to the right audiences. And we've seen that play out. I'll give you another story. We were recently working with a QSR, quick serves, let's call it a burger chain. National burger chain is the way to think about them. And they, like many marketers, wanted to drive app downloads. They want to convert the customer experience to the app. They know that that's key for loyalty. They know that's key for ordering online. But what they've found is they get greater engagement and compliance to app downloads if they advertise with a QR code in print than they do when they're trying to push app downloads online. And the hypothesis they have is it's more trusted. A consumer knows if they scan a QR code on the print ad that is also offering them a coupon, they know it's from that marketer. They know they can trust it. Online, there's a little more skepticism. When I click through, what experience do I get? And is it something that I want to trust, or is it something that is not going to be good for me?
Yeah. One quick follow-up to that. Regarding QR codes, because it seems to me like that's something that there was a lot of buzz around QR codes, let's say a little over a decade ago or so. And it seems like during the pandemic, a lot of resurgence there. Is that something that you've noticed in print media, or is that just something where they've always been kind of the same level of popularity? It just, some of us might have noticed them more.
No, I think I think QR codes were kind of a running joke for us pre-pandemic. It was going to transform print and transform the experience. And the reality is that did not happen. In fact, it was clunky at best. But the pandemic definitely changed that behavior for many of us as shoppers and consumers. If we went out to restaurants, we were using QR codes to see the menu. It was just a different, new, reinforced behavior that became more acceptable. It became more mainstream. And we're seeing better utilization and better engagement metrics on the flip side of the pandemic because of that new behavior from consumers, for sure.
Yeah. I'm just curious. I haven't seen stats on that, but I just know as a consumer myself, it's something where, I feel like everybody knows how to interact with QR codes at this point, just for the reasons you said. So it's interesting there. Well, in your role as CMO at Vericast, you certainly oversee both digital and print and really the omnichannel world that we live in. When it comes to print media, what are you most excited about when it comes to the future?
Yeah, I think I'm most excited about the way we're creating new value points on audiences and personalization in both print and digital, right? So the advancements that we're seeing around AI, around machine learning, and the ability to use data, leverage technology to better connect, understand, and leverage our data and our customers' data to truly bring strong omni-channel campaigns is really reinvigorating print. It is making it more relevant. Print is helping our clients break through the clutter. There's still a lot of clutter in all media, but the print experience is a very tactile experience for consumers. They engage with the piece. We like to call it the journey from the mailbox to the recycling bin. And that journey is different by consumer, but they're going to engage with the product. They're going to look at what they're receiving in the mail. And it leaves an impression, not just for awareness, but since they're so heavily looking for deals and they know to expect those deals to be in their mailbox, they are keeping those inserts for a longer period of time and they're planning their shopping. And that's the true opportunity that I think is really exciting when we bring better data to that process and more relevant marketing campaigns.
Yeah, makes sense. Well, Curtis, thank you so much for joining the show. I've got one last question before we wrap up here. So you've given some great advice already and touched on a lot of interesting things here. What's maybe one piece of advice you'd have for brands that they want to get better at using their print media, and what's something that they could start working on today?
Yeah, I think the first and foremost is to fight gravity, right? You've got to use print to meet consumers where they are. And don't let this sweeping hypothesis that print is dead drive your marketing strategy. There is a tremendous opportunity to leverage the right data to build effective audiences, measure to hold your marketing accountable, and drive an even better ROI through integrating print into your existing marketing campaigns.
That's great. Well, again, I'd like to thank Curtis Tingle, CMO at Vericast, for joining the show. You can learn more about Curtis and Vericast by following the links in the show notes. Thanks again for listening to the Agile Brand with Greg Kihlstrom podcast, brought to you by Tech Systems. If you enjoyed the show, please take a minute to subscribe on your podcast channel of choice and leave us a rating so that others can find the show more easily. You can access more episodes of the show at www.gregkihlstrom.com. That's GregKihlstrom.com. To get a copy of my latest book, House of the Customer, visit my website, or you can find it on Amazon or other retailers. The Agile Brand is produced by Missing Link, a Latina-owned, strategy-driven, creatively fueled production co-op. From ideation to creation, they craft human connections through intelligent, engaging, and informative content. Until next time, stay agile.